Hello, Georgie Burns here. Today I'd like to show you how I made this card. And this card we're using the stamp sets, Postcard Pals, and we're going to be using this image. Also going to use Love What You Do and using the sentiment It's a Beautiful Day. And we're also going to use Pick a Pennant. I only want this little tiny flower here to mark as a stamp because this is a postcard. And for the card you need one white card base, 8 1/4 by 5 7/8, scored at 4 1/8. And folded in the middle and burnished. You need a piece of crumb cake at 5 5/8 by 3 7/8. You need a piece of Whisper White measuring 5 3/8 by 3 5/8. A piece of designer series paper. Now this comes from, oh dear, I've forgotten what it comes from. Let's have a look. I shall tell you in just a moment if I can find it. I bet you're all shouting at me, saying, yeah, I know, oh, there it is. Tranquil Textures Designer Series paper. That's what that's from. I'm using the crumb cake side, and that measures 5 1/4 by 3 1/2. Just measures in there. Then we'll also need a piece of Whisper White measuring 3 inches by 4 1/2 inches. A piece of crumb cake measuring 2 7/8 by 4 3/8. And then a piece of Whisper White measuring 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. And also a piece of Whisper White measuring 5 5/8 by 3 7/8 for the inside. Now we will get started with the stamping. And for that we'll need my favourite black ink at the moment, Memento Tuxedo Black. I need to clean that cover because every time I lift it up I get black ink on me. And with the bird, should ink it up. And you want to stamp this over to the left and in the middle. Press firmly and let the ink transfer over. Nice. And then what we're going to do, move that to one side, and with a ruler and your black marker pen, I'm pulling that down towards me, you want to draw a line between the bird and the other half. So I'm just going to, not right at the top, just about 1/8 of the inch down, just like you do on a postcard. And then we're going to stamp in there, It's a Beautiful Day. I chose this stamp because it looks like when it's stamped an address, the layout of it. Because that's what goes this side of the postcard. Well, it does on any postcard I've ever sent. That's nice. And then we're going to make a stamp with that little flowered stamp out of Pick a Pennant, and stick that in the top right hand corner. And again with your ruler and your black marker, you want to draw some lines so it looks like it's been through the franking machine, and just draw as many as you want. They don't have to be all the same length because they're not on a franking machine. And just cover the flowers in lines. There we are. Right, and just put that to one side while we stamp the inside. And we're going to stamp the bird image. Oh, nearly dropped it. At an angle in the corner, and we only want about half of it, or a third of it. Oh, we've got his head, that's alright. Get rid of that. Put the lid on this ink. And now we're going to colour the images in. If I can get that black ink off my finger. And with the blends, I do like my blends, we are going to colour him in. Now, for his body, I used light Daffodil Delight, and all I did was went round the edges. I didn't colour him all in. Around his feathers. And his body. That's all I've done, is just gone round the edges. Right, with his body we used his waistcoat, we used light and dark crumb cake, so let's colour in his waistcoat. When I was colouring this in, I kept thinking of Mr. Brown, the UPS guy. And then just go over where I see some dark patches in his buttons and his helmet. And then just, ow, caught my finger there, and then just rub them in with your light crumb cake. for his goggles, I used light seafoam. Oh, and I think it was light on this strap here of his goggles. Right, the fish, I used Pool Party, light Pool Party. And the water drops. And his fins are used light Night and Navy. And his beak, his big beak, I used light Pumpkin Pie. Then I went round the edges again with it, just to darken them up, or it would be a bit darker. I also did his feet. And then with the light Old Olive, I grounded him with some grass. And there you have it, like that. Right, now we do the same with the inside. So bit of yellow for his body, soft seafoam for his goggles, light crumb cake for his strap, and his ear protectors, I think they're called, and dark crumb cake for the helmet. And his helmet strap. Pool Party for the fish. Water drops. Night and Navy for the fins. Dark crumb cake. I should be light, but I'll just do these bits first. And then light crumb cake for his top. Blend that all in. bit of yellow around his shoulder there. And then with a light pumpkin pie, we'll do his beak. There we are. And that's that done. All we've got to do now is put the card together. And have a sip of tea that my husband made me. So, let's start with these 3 bits. Get my glue. You can stick it with anything you want. I prefer glue. And then stick this crumb cake on the white mat. It's nice. Right, and now with the big bits. Put the white mat on first. Then the DSP. Do like that colour as well. And then put this on the card. Now this one, as you can see, I've stamped it the wrong way. Well, that looks all right like that. I'm always getting insides mixed up because I make so many different they're either a book fold or a tent fold, and I forget what one I'm doing. But that looks all right. And this one we're going to stick on with dimensionals. One too many. And then we just place this in the middle of our card. Needs to come over a little bit more this way. Yeah, that'll do. Now, I haven't added any gems on this card. Can you see them both like that? Yes, you can. Because I don't think it needs it with the bubbles and everything. So that is the card completed today. Hope you like it. Give us a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of my videos, please subscribe and press the bell button next to it. All I can say is thank you for visiting.